Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of the Doctor Who 60th Celebration Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about a not so great but kind of okay or mediocre story. It's called The Sensorites. The Sensorites has a lot of promise and it's really good. I mean, it's good in some spots, but there was a lot of untapped potential that could have made it a classic, but a stone cold classic, but some things were just kind of holding it back, which I'm going to talk about in this video. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. And even subscribe with the bell if you want to get a notification every day when these videos drop. Let's get into the plot of this story. This story basically begins on some sort of spaceship where they sort of they kind of orbit this mysterious planet called the Sense Sphere, where and some aliens called the Sensorites, they actually kind of get on the board the ship, not on board the ship, but kind of around the ship. They start kind of taunting or scaring the travelers. But before all that, they actually see a bunch of you know crewmates that are in a sort of catatonic state. At first they believe that they're dead, but it turns out they're just kind of catatonic. And actually the ship's scientist was actually is revealed to be completely mentally just screwed up from what happened with the Sensorites and what they did to him. This story is basically a six-parter, and you know it's a six-parter, but I think it really drags in episodes 4 and 5, as do most six-part stories. I think the story gets going in episode 2. Episode 2 is essentially when things start happening, the plot is sort of moving forward. There's an actual kind of path or trajectory that the story is going on. You know, I really like that episode in particular because it sort of leads to the mysterious aura that most people sort of associate with the story. After the spaceship shenanigans, they land on the Sense Sphere itself, where they get some Sensorites to kind of help John, which is the shipmate who is mentally screwed up, and he is also he's actually the fiance of another shipmate, so it's kind of this romantic kind of subplot that kind of flies under the radar, from being honest. But partway through the story, he is helped and he is better, but they have new priorities, because now there's a Sensorite who kind of hates humans, I think. Or he kind of he's very proud. Sorry. So he's trying to he has this evil kind of agenda against them and sort of plotting against them, and it's really sort of enticing. And the thing about the Sensorites is that they all look the exact same, but they're sort of designated, or they're people see the differences based on their badge or some sort of sash that indicates their rank. So what this Sensorite does is he basically steals a first officer's sash. So he goes around and people think he's the first officer, who's actually I don't know if he's the first officer, but they kind of just assume that he's the person that's on their side. So which leads to this kind of the big subplot that sort of culminates in the end when the fiance of John is actually kidnapped, and they gotta rescue her. That's basically the plot of the story. To be honest, the story is kind of mediocre, mostly because of pacing issues. Pacing issues probably the number one thing that I would change. Everything else is pretty solid, but I think episodes 4 and 5 in particular could have been condensed. But and this could have been a pretty tight or decent 4 or 5 party. That's all for today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.